And it's now about 25 minutes after 8 on a Saturday morning here in Mount Washington Valley. And I don't know if you read a couple of weeks ago, there was a wonderful article in the New York Times about the Stevens Pass Avalanche out on the Pacific Northwest. And that sort of has brought Avalanche safety and what have you to the forefront for those who enjoy heading on out into our mountains. And with us this morning, we have Bill Downey. And here we go. I'm going to get it right. Helon Hoffer.
Got it.
Yeah, it's like 4 times I had to say that. With the Mount Washington Avalanche Center. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for stopping by this morning. And so you're a nonprofit organization that does what?
Well, our primary mission is to support the programs of the Mount Washington Avalanche Center. And that's a very classic wide definition, so it gives us a lot of freedom. But basically, we just want to work in unison with Chris Josen, the lead snow ranger, and find out what his needs are and try to bridge the gap to getting to what he needs to go.
And again, this is the Avalanche Center that it's the only one east of the Rockies.
Correct.
And this is the one that when people, of course, everyone thinks Tuckerman Ravine and Spring, but this is the organization that sort of helps out and getting the word out about what the day is like and what to expect and that sort of thing?
Sure, yeah, the daily conditions report, the avalanche advisory that they issue every morning, and then they're, each day they go up into the ravine just to check to make sure what they think is going on is actually happening. And providing all that information to everyone from New England who's coming up to ski the most easily accessible backcountry terrain there is.
Absolutely. And then the big, there's the big randonnée skinning alpine touring movement now. So it's a lot of people want to head on up in there and sort of enjoy the backcountry. And as part of the organization, do you have any fundraisers planned or anything like that?
We do, and I appreciate you asking. We've had we've had very successful start in Portsmouth. We had the Meet the Snow Rangers event where we raised almost $5,700, and Chris did a presentation on what their responsibilities are, and also Joe Clementavash, who's a photographer as well as a snow ranger, had a photo essay. And Elon had a great idea conceptually of what we're going to do on the 25th at Frontside. Maybe you can tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're hoping to get Chris and Joe are going to do presentations again. I don't know if you know Joe, but he's got one of the more dry sense of humors that I've ever met, but he takes great pictures and loves talking about them. But Chris, the lead snow ranger, we're hoping to get him to talk about kind of what the current conditions are up in the ravine this year. If you were to go up the day after the fundraiser, what would you expect to find? And then kind of also how things have been changing over past years, trends that global warming or any of the rise in people that are going, how that is affecting the Avalanche Center up there.
And what sort of tools do you use and what sort of equipment might you need to do what you do? In terms of getting the word out, I mean you have to stay in contact. So you need radios or something like that.
Well, I'd say the first thing to do, and that's a big issue, is just going over briefly the 3 responsibilities they have. Is the daily advisories on avalanche. Then there's the search and rescue, and the only state in the nation where the fish and game defer to the Forest Service. That's how gnarly the environment is. And the third thing is, which we're going to hopefully have a big influence on, is the education and outreach. So in Utah, there's a program called Know Before You Go. And it's just encouraging people to at least take a look at the advisory, talk to people on the trail, and when you get up to hermits, it's not uncommon to see a ranger there, and they're very knowledgeable guys that are friendly. So doing that kind of preparation before you even hit the mountain is important.
Nice. And then also, greater awareness. I mean, are you seeing, more people coming up? You're having advances in technology, both in terms of the gear and then also in terms of smartphones and things like that, that as people, shall we say, seek challenges beyond the groomed trails, are you seeing more of an interest for people venturing into the backcountry?
I know I have. Helon's on the mountain a lot more than I am. I'm a flatlander from Portsmouth, but the data suggests that more people are getting out in the winter, not just that spring thing. When the Dartmouth and Harvard boys started coming up, it was March and April. Now there's more people consistently coming out in the winter months of January and February, and you can probably speak a little bit better about the climbing community.
Yeah, I mean, the terrain up there is just unheard of for accessibility from anyone from around here. And one of the things that the snow rangers have been focusing on recently is education versus prevention. 20 years ago, they would physically close the ravines and
Right.
prevent people from going in when the avalanche danger was high. These days we're focusing on making sure everyone knows everything that we know and letting them make their decision based on there. And actually, despite the increase in traffic, accidents have been decreasing. Just people knowing more about what they're entering rather than restraining them from going for reasons that we're not telling them.
And another thing, we've been sort of talking about skiers and snowboarders, but the climbing community. We have ice climbers
Sure, yeah.
going in there, and then you have, a time when rock climbers, when it could be some snow. The people who like the different, some people like the rock and ice. And what's the term? There's a term that they use to do
Mixed
both.
climbing.
Mixed climbing.
Sure, yeah.
So this is also something for that.
I think part of a lot of thing that gets pushed aside is that the Friends of Mount Washington Avalanche Center, it's not just Tuckerman Ravine. Huntington Ravine, it's, everyone thinks of Tuckerman spring skiing and that terrain, but the Huntington Ravine right next door is, the best alpine climbing you can find around here. And that avalanches just as often, just the way the ravine is shaped, it gets completely different conditions. On a day when Tuckerman might have high avalanche danger, it's not uncommon for Huntington to be completely low avalanche danger. There certainly are places where you can go and still play safely on the mountain.
All right, and just before we wrap things up, website, contact information, if you want to hit that January 25th event one more time, how can people find out what's going on with the Avalanche Center?
Yeah, the website, which is, friends of WMAC.org.
Right.
And if you check Facebook, we have a page which is probably the most easy way to access events. And the 25th at Frontside Grind, the hosts have been very generous in allowing us to use the space. That's a Friday at 6 o'clock. We have Flatbreads donating pizza. Tuckerman Brew will have the beer. We have a slam and silent auction. We have snowboards from Burton, Oakley, helmets, goggles, you name it. It's going to be a fun night.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for stopping by. See,
Pleasure.
quick, easy, painless, and back with more.